All right. Welcome to a late night episode of Sports and Nothing Else podcast. Kyle, who has already complained to me about how late this is, how's it going?
I'm ready for bed. And we had a live viewing of the podcast the other day with some family members of the Smith variety, and I've been told I need to be more lively. So not a great time when I'm 90% asleep for me to be more lively, but we're going to do our best.
Listen, folks, Kyle is not like, his personality is great, but he's not like Stephen A. Smith, okay? And that has to be accepted. Neither of us are. We just like sports. We like each other. I got my second COVID shot today, and my arm hurts so bad. I'm very excited, but I can barely lift my arm. So anyhow, there's that. All right. Should we hop in?
Let's do it.
Okay. Full disclosure, this is going to get a little geeky baseball-wise later in the podcast. You're going to get a look into what Bachman long car rides were back in the day when we all lived together. But that's what you got here. So let's go ahead and get moving. We're a couple weeks into the baseball season now. Things are starting to take shape a little bit. Teams like the Angels, who I got real excited about, are crashing back down to earth as they always do. Anything you want to highlight? I actually have a long list, so go ahead.
So I've got A through J again. None of them have any depth to them at all. But the biggest takeaway I have is that don't overreact to week one. I mean, the teams that I thought were pretty solid, all of which look very questionable now, except unless you're a Dodger fan.
Oh, my word.
The Dodgers look really good. So do you want me to just run through them real quick?
Let's go back and forth. Let's go back and forth. I got about that many too. Give me your A.
Perfect. And I'm guessing we're going to have some overlap here, but first I have is that Glass now is awesome.
Oh, that's on my list.
Has just looked incredibly filthy. Looks like Pedro back in the day. I mean, throws absolute gas. And what's so frustrating is that the Rays should have one of the best rotations in baseball, losing Charlie Morton and Snell. And they still have a good rotation, but spend some freaking money, Florida. These are your people. Tell them to get it together.
These are not my people, but yeah, we went over on like the first podcast that my issues with the Rays is that their salaries are basically paid by revenue sharing, and whoever owns them is cheap beyond words. Correct. You have these great scouting departments and great player development departments, and you're not willing to keep the winning program on the field. That's garbage. And if I were a fan of the Rays, I wouldn't be a fan of the Rays anymore. I did want to mention with the Rays, this is on my list. They had a guy make his major league debut this week against the Yankees named Brent Honeywell, who is a really cool story. He was a top 10 prospect for a couple of years. He won the 2017 Futures Game MVP and then had 4 arm surgeries.
Ooh.
And it was back, pitched 2 perfect innings against the Yankees. He throws a true screwball, which is probably the reason he's had 4 arm surgeries. But he's a really unique pitcher and a pretty cool guy. Heard him on a different podcast this week, the Baseball Barbecue Podcast. So anyhow, all right, give me your B since I kind of piggybacked there.
All right, my B is nothing revolutionary here, but the Twins might be bad, and the AL Central as a whole might be bad.
That's definitely true.
Absolutely is true. The Twins bullpen has been abysmal. Was really excited for the Colome acquisition. Going to have multiple closers that I thought I maybe trusted, and it turns out I don't trust a single person in that bullpen, and really a single started pitcher. Donaldson is back this week. I kind of like Barrios and I kind of like Kenta, but that's really it. And the offense is really up and down. I'm a little disappointed with how the last week of baseball has gone.
Well, I have 2 AL Central points, so I'll piggyback. A, the White Sox are weirdly mediocre, and that offense, they lost Eloy, but like, who cares? They have Yerman Mercedes, who's like the best 28-year-old in baseball, besides Mike Trout. They don't look very good, and Lance Lynn has a 0 ERA, and they should be it feels like they should be like 9-3, and they're not very good. Now they are currently pounding my beloved Cleveland Indians, but they're mediocre. I also have in all caps on my paper, first place Cleveland Windians. Indians are in first place at a whopping 6-5, about to be 6-6, tied with the White Sox. I got to get it while it's hot because they're bad. Their offense is bad. Last night, after 9 innings, the White Sox and the Indians both had 3 hits and 11 strikeouts. And then the Indians won in the 10th inning. And that leads me to my last point on the AL Central is that Shane Bieber That guy's the best. I'd marry him. No problem. Last night, 9 innings, threw full 9 innings, got the win because they scored in the top of the 10th. Awesome. He is awesome. His breaking ball, good grief. All right, go ahead. What's C?
Well, I have Bieber equals Nolan Ryan written out in my notes, and he's just been disgusting. So fun to watch pitch. I mean, so many strikeouts. He's great if they can get him a little bit of run support. Same with Jacob deGrom in the National League. The next thing I have, though, is that regardless of how pessimistic I am about the Twins, Cruz and Buxton have been awesome. So maybe the next Canseco and McGuire, I guess, Bash Brothers in the Central. That's what I'm leaning on here.
Yeah, sure. No, Buxton has been really, really, really great. So, again, we hope he stays healthy. He's one of those guys like Acuna. You're just like, please, you're so good. Please stay healthy. And he has not ever stayed healthy. All right. My next one is the Boston Red Sox have won 9 games in a row. They start out the season getting swept by the Orioles, which I loved, and have since won 9 games in a row. And if you remember right, on this podcast, you were given by me long shot Rafael Devers to win MVP. He's got 5 home runs. He's absolutely raking. Get excited, Red Sox fans. Imagine if you had Mookie Betts. That's a tough one. But I mean, Trout's going to win the MVP. So if you bet on Devers, like, great, you need Trout to get hurt. But anyhow, Red Sox. That was my next point.
Do you feel like Devers has a little bit of Shamit face in that you look at him and you're like, eh?
Yeah, he doesn't look
regardless
like
of the number, he doesn't look like he should be able to do anything positive at all.
He's a little pudgy too, so it's easy to write him off. But I mean, he had a home run against your Twins yesterday. It's like 900 feet. It's unbelievable. Which then led to me selling 8 autographed baseball cards of him on eBay. So that's great. Okay. All right, go ahead. What's your next one?
The Rangers are awful. They are a dumpster fire. The Astros are banging on that dumpster fire, and it is a disaster. And it's an intentional disaster as they're actively trading people. And one of the funniest things that I saw all week was a picture of a former Rangers player, Rougned Odor, with no beard. He looked like the guy
10 years old.
He's like the guy holding up the I am 12.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
The opposite.
Yes, correct. I am 32.
Yeah. I saw someone tweet the other day that he said, look, it's not that Rougned Odor is bad and he hits under 200. It's that he's 15. It's pretty impressive for a little guy, in the major leagues. So anyhow, yes. Speaking of that, did you know that's the first ever Padres no-hitter thrown against the Rangers the other day?
Yes.
Joe Musgrove.
Awesome. And a guy from
San Diego.
He has a San Diego tattoo. He's been
he does.
San Diego fan since he was like 4 years old.
We listened to the same baseball podcast earlier this week.
It's almost like we do. Same news, same place.
All right. I'm going to give you one more. We're going to stay on the AL West. The AL West also is mediocre. The Astros, after a hot start, look pretty bland. They don't have enough pitching. The Angels, after a hot start, weirdly aren't scoring against like the Royals. Ohtani is awesome. Raking. And I think they need to just make him a hitter, because what's going to happen is he's going to rake for 2 months and then he's going to tear some ligament in his arm pitching again, and then they're hosed. I think we just need to make him a hitter and try to outscore everybody. That's my thoughts. All right, what's your next point?
My next isn't really a point. It's just mostly that Baddoo on the Tigers is awesome, and I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly, but he's got 4 home runs now. This is one of the coolest stories in Major League Baseball. Just root for the guy. I'm rooting hardcore against the Tigers every second of my entire life. Sorry, Josh.
We're not sorry.
But this is a really cool story, and I love this kind of thing. That's really all I've got as far as breakdown on that.
Okay. No, he's cool. And they keep hitting him at the bottom of the order for reasonable reasons, but eventually they're going to have to move him up. He's raking. All right. I have a trivia question for you. Do you know who's leading the major league in stolen bases? It's by
I have no idea.
5 stolen bases.
By 5? In the AL?
5. He's in the AL. He has 8 stolen bases already. You're not going to get it. It's Ramon Laureano. Of the A's.
Oh, for the A's?
Stolen bases. Unbelievable.
Wow.
I was looking up stats today, and I came across that and realized I had no idea that was happening on a terrible Oakland Athletics.
And he has a cannon. And they're back to 500 almost.
Yeah. You called that.
Mhm.
All right. Got any more points before I make
Yeah,
the
the Dodgers might win 140 games.
Listen, that was one of my locks. I just want to make that clear. They're incredible. They just got Betts back. He hit a homer immediately.
Mhm.
I mean, we went over this last week. Their fourth starter is Julio Urias. Bueller, who's going to be on my list in a second that we're going to do. Kershaw, Bauer. They don't even like fool around. They have Gonsolin in their bullpen. They have David Price. They have actual bullpen pitchers in their bullpen.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, yeah, that was on my list too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't really have much of a breakdown for any of the rest. The Rockies suck. We all knew the Rockies were going to suck. The Pirates suck. We all knew the Pirates were going to suck. The NL Central sucks. We all knew the NL
Yeah,
Central was
that's
going to
on my
suck.
list.
And the NL East is a complete toss-up to me at this
I
point.
said NL East, have no idea. That's on my list.
I
I
literally
don't know
have
what
no
to do with
clue.
any of those teams. I think it's the Braves still. I honestly do.
Yes and no. I mean, Acuna's looked insane, but no one else has really impressed at all on that entire roster.
You're right.
Who knows?
Freeman's been all right.
And that's all I got.
Okay. I wanted to mention I love Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. on the Blue Jays, even though their team's not going anywhere. Those guys are awesome. The Brewers have 3 starting pitchers that are outstanding, and no one knows who any of them are. Brandon Woodruff, who does not have the best stats of these 3. Freddie Peralta has a .63 ERA, which is almost the best in the National League among starting pitchers. But Corbin Burns, his teammate, has a .49 ERA, and today had like 12 strikeouts in 6 innings. They have real arms on that team, and if they get guys like Keston Hiura and some other guys hitting and Yelich healthy, I think they might win the NL Central by default because that division stinks. Couple of other things. The Giants are 8-4 because we both picked the under as a lock, and they're definitely going to win like 90 games just because of this podcast. And that's it, because it's not because of the talent on their team. And lastly, in all caps, I have my 2 favorite people, Ronald Acuna and Juan Soto, who are, with Fernando Tatis, going to be the faces of baseball for the next 10 years. It also so happens that I've invested thousands of dollars in both of their rookie cards, and that is coming up aces right now. Acuna hit another home run tonight. I'm actually going to check and make sure he just hit another one. He leads the league in hits. He leads the league in runs. It is 5-5, so there's a pretty good chance he did just hit another home run. He did. He now has 6 home runs. Tonight he's 3 for 4 with 2 homers and a double. He's stealing bases. The defensive metrics have him as the best right fielder in baseball for multiple years now. Again, for multiple episodes, I've told you he's the MVP of the National League. You should have bet it at the beginning. I know I didn't. And here we are. He's definitely the front runner through 2 weeks.
And that ground ball that he beat out to Didi Gregorius the other day, it was hit hard, charging, still just beat it out. Insane.
Guy's insane. He has all the tools, and he's starting to walk like Soto, but he has just as much power, and he can run, and he can hit, and he can field. He's the whole thing. And they signed him to go look at his contract. It's like 8 years, $90 million. It's outrageous.
Oh, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. And he legitimately could be a 40-40 guy the next 3 years.
Yeah. He left a lot of money on the table. Not as much as his friend Ozzie Albies on the Braves, but a lot. And Soto is quietly hitting 350 with like a 480 on base. So great. Love those guys. So is my bank account. All right. Animal facts. What do you got for me?
All right. It's a short one, but it is week 3 of Crow Facts.
Yes.
Week 3 of 742. So crows have been documented holding funerals for years and years and years. It's really, really wild. There's tons of pictures of them like gathering around fallen members of their flock. But recent scientific studies have actually shown that they're not actually mourning. They're actually investigating the area for threats, both current and future, to the rest of the flock. So not really a funeral, more of an autopsy, a criminal investigation, or you could say a murder investigation.
Especially because of the meerkats.
Getting the pun?
Because a group of crows is a murder. I know this. Yep. You're my brother. How would I not know this? All right.
Yeah. Anyways, thought that was kind of cool.
I
That's all I
love
got. It's a
throwbacks.
quick one, in and out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're winding down to the season in the NBA right now. Um, it's been a weird season. We just lost Jamal Murray for the year, which is too bad because the Nuggets were going to be really fun, and now they probably are irrelevant. The Lakers haven't had their two best guys for over a month now, or at least it feels like it. I don't trust. I don't know. What are you seeing? What are you thinking?
So my picks for last week were really, really Nuggets heavy, and I'm not really Nuggets heavy anymore because obviously
No.
that's a pretty big killer.
Yeah.
You lose your point guard and your offense initiator, although obviously Jokic runs most of the
But he's
offense.
like
It
their
still is.
microwave, man. He gets hot and they go.
It's a killer, and they really have no guards that you are scared of at all now. So in the East, I've got do you want to do conference championship picks, or do you just want
I
general
do.
observations
We
here?
were going to talk about who we thought would meet up in both conference championship. Go ahead.
So the East is wide open, and
Yeah,
it's
for like three
really
teams.
correct. The top four, you could argue, I guess, and if you really want to if you trust Miami from last year, they have not shown it at all this year. I'm really not trusting them at all, and I feel like it was kind of a product of the bubble. I've got Philly versus Brooklyn in the East Finals, with Philly coming out of the East. They have really impressed me this year, and if Embiid can stay healthy, holy smokes, that's the best team that I've seen. Brooklyn, I just don't trust them to A, get healthy enough to mesh as a team, and B, stay healthy for an entire playoff run. I mean, they have not stayed healthy the entire year. That being said, talent-wise, they're by far the best team in the East.
Yep.
So hard to pick against them. You could make the argument for the Bucks just because of the consistency of them being in the playoffs year in, year out.
Yeah, but I've watched
a slight
them in the
upgrade.
playoffs, so therefore I'm not going to make the argument for the Bucks.
You at the same time though, the big fall off was that Bledsoe's been good for the regular season for the last 3 years and has been a Texas Rangers in the playoffs.
Just so bad.
And Drew Holiday is a lockdown defender, and he's just as good offensively. You could make the argument that they could compete with anyone, obviously, especially because this year they've made a very, very conscious effort to play different styles, which has been their biggest criticism of them going into the playoffs, is that once you make a wall against Giannis, they can't adjust, especially defensively. They play very, very – they don't really switch. So they've made a conscious effort, if you've watched them at all, to switch a ton this year, and it's definitely resulted in a worse record during the regular season. But I do think it's going to benefit them come playoff time. I wouldn't be surprised if there's any injuries to the Nets if the Bucks are the team in the conference playoffs and the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it matters for Philly to get the 1 seed. I actually have the exact same matchup and result. I think there are 2 out of the 3 guys on Brooklyn that I don't trust when everything's down, when the chips are all down, and they're the healthy ones. And then there's Durant, who I trust completely. Mm-hmm. But Harden in the playoffs, it's well documented. And couldn't happen to a better guy. That's sarcasm. I can't stand him. Kyrie leaves the team every 5 days. Like, I don't know. They're all superstars. Maybe they flip it on and they go, but they're not going to get stops. And maybe they'll outscore everyone if everybody gets healthy, or maybe they'll break down and then Philly waltzes into the finals. I don't know. I don't see Philly losing to Milwaukee either. I don't, if healthy.
Speaking of Durant, I saw one of the funnier stats that I've seen in a long time about Durant this week. He actually has more career tweets than he does career points.
Well, that doesn't even factor in his burner accounts.
Exactly. So it's probably double, but he's one of the most prolific scorers in the history of the NBA. He has 23,561 career points. He has 24,200 career tweets just with his primary account, which is insane, which kind of prompted me to go back and look through my graveyard of a Twitter account. So this was created in 2012. My most recent tweet was October 13th, my birthday, 2015. I have 951 total tweets in my history of my Twitter. So Durant has dwarfed that by 25 times.
Good for him.
And I have no life, and he is an NBA player.
Yeah, well, and he gets in petty grievances like what happened with Michael Rappaport the other day, which we'll leave alone. But anyhow. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you're assuming health, like complete health, I think it's the Nets. If you're assuming what I think is safe to assume, they're going to have a really hard time getting everybody healthy. I think it's Philly. If people get hurt on both teams, it's Milwaukee. But Philly's my pick at this point. All right, Western Conference. This is a mess. The Western Conference, I don't know what you do with this.
I mean, I was all over the place, and this is a true testament to how deep the West is, but also how unbelievably difficult it's going to be to predict with the Lakers not being healthy, with no one trusting in the Clippers, and your top two teams are completely unproven in the playoffs with the Jazz and the Suns. I ended up saying, forget what the regular season has showed us. I've got Clippers-Lakers with the Lakers coming out. I don't feel good about it at all, and I hate the Lakers, and I'm guessing I just stole your pick. Had you asked me last week, which I did actually have my picks last week, it would have been Denver coming out of the West just because they've played incredibly, and I don't trust in the health of the Clippers or the Lakers, but I really, really don't trust the Suns, and I especially don't trust a team that relies so much on three-point shooting like the Jazz. Now, they've shot it at a historic rate. They're over 40% as a team, which is insane. But they're the Utah Jazz, and there's no home court advantage because there's no fans. Which normally in Salt Lake City, you're going to have that big advantage of it being a whole bunch of screaming Mormons out there. You're not going to have that this year.
Yeah, usually they're really well-behaved too.
Yeah, not racist at all.
No, not at all. Not a bit. Ask Russell Westbrook. Well, I'm going to zag then because I don't want to have all the same picks as you. Listen, nothing would make me happier than the Clippers losing in like the first round to Doncic and the Mavericks or something. So I'm going to go ahead and go Suns, Lakers conference championship, and I will pick the Lakers to go through. That's just a pick of basically LeBron and Anthony Davis. But if it's not the Lakers, I actually think it's the Clippers. That makes sense. But I think the Lakers will beat the Clippers on the way unless they don't get healthy. And then adding Rondo, you have some proven guys there. I mean, Paul George is proven to be terrible in the playoffs, but playoff P,
beautiful.
Yeah. Pandemic P. Side of the backboard himself. Well, I've never seen a meltdown quite like that against the Nuggets last year. It was awesome. So awesome. All right. That's probably enough NBA. Oh, so then who would be your champ?
I'm taking Philly. I think this is their year. You've got probably the MVP had he been healthy the entire year. I still think it's Jokic. But you've got a defender that can legitimately match up with either of those LA teams if they come out, whether it be Kawhi or LeBron, in Ben Simmons, who arguably probably should be the defensive player of the year. You're going to probably give it to Gobert. I hate the Eiffel Tower. And if I hear one more word about a screen assist, I'm going to throw my phone against the wall. But I think it's Philly. I don't think there's anyone really on LA that's going to guard Embiid. I don't really see a way that they can stop him at all. And if Tobias Harris can get going a couple games and you get some shots from Curry, I think they have a chance to play with really anyone. And I really don't trust the Lakers to get completely healthy. They have actually impressed. They've been much better without LeBron and Davis than I thought they would be.
Yeah, a couple big wins lately.
Down to the 7 or 8 seed by now. And they've actually beat some good teams. I mean, they beat the Nets the other night with KD and Kyrie. I mean, no Harden, but yeah, I'm taking Philly. I don't feel great about it.
Yeah,
but that's where I'm
all right. So I told you to come up with one NBA bet. What's going to be your bet?
So I got my long shot bet for the finals. So last week it would have been the Nugs, and they're plus 4,500 now. I don't like that anymore without Murray, but I do like the Mavs at plus 4,000. Doncic has been awesome, just awesome in the second half. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Porzingis out there gonna score like 18 a game when he should be scoring 30. But as far as value for your pick, to me, it's them or Miami at 2,800 or Phoenix at 2,000.
I'll walk with you on the Phoenix one. I have Philly plus 600 to make the finals. That is my pick for long-term NBA bet. And I'm sure Embiid will get hurt tomorrow. So, all right. Let me see where we're at. Okay. My favorite segment back again. Things we hate. Go ahead. You got something for me this week?
Oh, let me find one. So I've got a couple here, and I'm gonna kind of gauge your reaction and see what you want to go with.
Fire away.
I know yours is baseball related. A couple of things that I really hate are the lack of DH in the NL and just Rob Manfred in general. But I don't really have a lot of analysis for either of those other than that pitchers hit like historically like slightly over 200. I think like the number is
I don't
around
think it's that
215.
high.
It's not something that I need to be a part of. And if you're a good enough hitting pitcher, you're going to be Otani, and they're going to let you hit anyways.
Rake.
Give me the DH. You're screwing over the Mets, and you're screwing over my life because I don't want to watch Bartolo Colon hit. The biggest thing, though, I know, but you know what I'm talking about. The biggest thing, though, I wanted to rant and rave about that. I hate TikTok, and this is going to make me sound really old, but I freaking hate it.
Get off my lawn.
It's just truly the worst, and my wife loves it, and I hate it. It's maybe I'm really, really old, but I don't need to watch a bunch of people that are in high school make videos that can't even grow a beard, make fun of my beard all you want. Just the worst. And it's the same 4 songs over and over and over again. I'm trying to go to sleep. I got the same. You're gonna have to bleep me. The same freaking 4 songs, just going over and over again. It's just
You're gonna bleep freaking.
You know, I'd like to say worse than that. Sorry, Dad. It's truly the worst. So if you don't know what TikTok is, save your life. Don't ever download it. Vote for someone that's going to ban it, and just live the rest of your life happier.
All right. I was actually going to get bleeped today too. Okay. Thing I hate. Listen, we both played baseball a long time. Baseball is in our blood. Our dad, to his great credit, we spent like every night in the backyard taking fly balls or doing whatever. That's what we did. And this extra innings rule with the guy starting on second base, this is atrocious. I understand they had to do what they do to get through the 60 games and the pandemic and the 7-inning doubleheaders and all that. I got it. Okay. We played 7-inning doubleheaders in college. I understand. Get this out of here. The Indians should not have won an incredible pitchers duel last night because they got to start a guy at second base. And I'm happy they won. There's no place in baseball. It's not real baseball. It doesn't make any sense. Now they're talking about moving the mound back. Like, get out of here. Manfred is trying so hard to be the worst commissioner in sports. And Roger Goodell has tried really hard to hold the mantle tightly. And Manfred is like grasping it away from him. I don't know what the hell we're doing out here. I can't take it anymore. Like, starting a runner on second base is not baseball. All people ever do is hit home runs anyways. Like, get out of here. I can't. This has got me so flabbergasted. Are there 3 million things in the world that are more important? Yes, of course. But this is the thing I hate this week, and I hate it a lot. And get it out. All right, that's all. I'm done. Anything to add to that?
Well, I guess my biggest question is, what do they think they're solving by that?
Well, it was to like.
I mean, I understand it was supposed to speed up games so that you don't have games going into the 13th and the 14th and the 15th inning, but for what? Who is the viewer that's going to be like, that's baseball. Great? Even if I'm watching baseball, and I'm one of the biggest baseball fans that I've ever met in my entire life, I'm still sitting there on my phone. I am not going to sit down and watch a 3-hour Twins game. And if it's going to be 3 hours and 20 minutes or 4 hours and 20 minutes, I guarantee I'm not watching the whole thing.
It's a passive sport. You're supposed to be able to do other stuff. Even when you're at the ballpark, it's a great sport to go with your friends. You talk, you goof around, you eat $3 million hot dogs, and you watch, because in between pitches, there is time. In between innings, there is time. It's okay. It's how the sport is. If you TikTokers can't handle it, that's fine. You can continue to get off of our lawn. We don't need a runner at second base. It's stupid. Anyhow.
And you can absolutely make the argument for speeding up the game. And I would be thrilled if they could find a way to get games under 2 hours, or even 2 hours.
Pitch clock, fine with it.
But there's what, like a couple extra inning games per team per month. Like, that's not the problem.
Hates it too. All the players hate it. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I mean, then the problem is, like, you don't let the peoples pick who runs. So, like, there was a night the other night that Alejandro Kirk, the catcher for the Blue Jays, who is built like Winnie the Pooh, ends up being the runner for the Blue Jays. And I don't remember who they were playing. Their fastest, I think it was Brett Gardner or something, gets to run for the Yankees. It's not even fair. This is ridiculous. I can't handle it anymore. That's all. Rob Manfred, go away. I'll be commissioner. I'll do it for half the price. All right. We're going to do something now that we used to do in the car all the time on long trips. The Bachmans are kind of baseball geeks, and we don't have a lot of other things we know much about. So we kind of have to stay in our lane, like LeVar Ball. So here's what we're going to do. We have the the benefit of watching the first. And by the way, if you don't like baseball, this is probably time to like fast forward to the end for the family fiasco and recommendations. We're going to name who we think by the end of the year is going to be the best player at each position in each league. We're going to go fast because we know this is not going to be like, you're not going to love this as much as we love this probably. But we're going to argue about it a little bit. And then Dad actually sent me a list he didn't know we were doing both leagues. So he
that makes two of us.
He only sent me his overall picks, some of which I disagree with immensely. All right. Let's start at catcher. American League. Who do you think is going to be the best catcher by the end of the year?
All right. I'm going Gary Sanchez.
All right.
And the catching in the AL is really thin.
It's bad. The American League is not good. I had a really hard time with a lot of these positions for the American League.
And to be clear for our audience listening, the four of you, I did top 3 at each position, regardless of AL or NL. So this is actually really interesting to me because it shows how top heavy the NL is as far as stars are concerned, because most of my lists have 2 NLs and 1 AL. And this is a great example where I have 4 people listed as catcher because I couldn't decide on number 3, and 3 of them are NL catchers.
Yeah. Well, my pick was Yasmani Grandal, and I don't really have any good reason except that I don't trust Sal Perez to stay healthy, and I think Gary Sanchez sucks. So that's my reasoning.
Well,
but he also could hit 40 home runs.
Here's a great example of me not knowing what I'm talking about. I still thought he was in the NL. So
Gary Sanchez has never been in the NL. He's
Grandal.
Oh, yeah, he's on the White Sox. He's been there for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think our NL catcher is going to be the same. Real Muto? Yeah, that's easy. He's the best catcher in baseball right now. Sorry, Yadier Molina, you're old. All right, let's move to first base. AL.
Jose Abreu.
It's default. It's Jose Abreu. There's no other choices. Still hitting. Getting older than you might think because of how old he was when he came over from Cuba. But if you want to do a quick, fun deep dive, go look at his stats when he was in Cuba. It is obscene.
It is
like
awesome.
A man amongst children. All right, National League. Who you got?
I think I'm going Freddie Freeman.
It's going to be his great content. I also am going Freddie Freeman. Look, those are your 2 MVPs last year, Abreu and Freeman, and rightfully so. And they haven't really shown any reason why they still shouldn't be the pick at this point. All right, second base, American League.
So I don't know if you're going to count this cheating, but I'm going Marcus Semien.
It's fine. He plays second base.
He's playing second base.
I'm taking their shortstop in a little bit.
He's been a shortstop in the past, but I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he's going to be great.
Hit a homer today.
There we go.
I have LeMahieu, guy you played against when you were in high school.
Torched us.
Not a surprise. Yeah, he's really good. Really good. He's nearing the end of his prime, but I think, I don't know. To me, that was kind of a no-brainer. So you can keep your Marcus Semien as far as I'm concerned. All right, shortstop. I kind of went a little, National League, second base.
I'm going Ketel Marte.
Gosh, of course you are. That's also what I'm going. That guy's awesome.
And both of my picks were a year ago's top 5 MVP candidates, so I'm pretty happy with both. LeMahieu obviously going to hit for an insane average, but there's no power there.
It's not like a lot of mobility either. A year. Whatever.
High teens.
Whatever. All right. Let's move to shortstop before I punch you through the screen. Go ahead.
Oh, you're killing me here. I literally have 4 NL people listed.
Well, we're starting with American League, so that's
what I'm saying. I'm trying to go off the top of my head here.
Xander Bogaerts is the highest rated American League shortstop, but my pick was Bo Bichette because I think he's awesome.
We're going to go with that's all the analysis I have on the AL.
You're not going to pick one at all?
I'll go with Xander.
Okay. Shortstop, National League. A lot of good shortstops in the National League.
So, I mean, the obvious pick is Tatis, although if you believe in his health. If not, I'm going Trey Turner. Just because he literally does everything. He's going to hit in the low to mid 300s. He's going to steal 40 bases. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's really good.
The other pick that you could go that no one really thinks of just because he's on the Rockies is Trevor Story. He's been the best offensive shortstop in baseball for multiple years.
Yeah. And Corey Seager, by the way, should be mentioned on this list.
Mm-hmm.
I put Tatis down unless he gets hurt, and then I pick Corey Seager. That's my pick. All right, third base. One of my guys has an exclamation mark, so I'm so excited about him. Go ahead.
I really struggled with the AL. There's three really, really good ones, and one of them I'm sure is who you're going to say that I'm not going to say.
Yeah, you're going to say Bregman.
I'm not going to say Bregman. I'm going to go Jose Ramirez. He does a little bit of absolute everything. He hits for a pretty good average. The average has been down the last 2 years, but he has a ton of pop, and he actually steals bases. No one thinks of that.
Yeah, and a good third baseman.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard between him and Rendon and your guy that you keep picking for everything in the AL. And I just hate Bregman, so I'm not even going to say anything.
Me too, even though Bregman's probably the right pick. In my brain, it's Jose Ramirez because I think he's incredible. In my heart right now, it's Rafael Devers. So I have Devers with an exclamation mark because I just keep seeing him hit bombs. How about the National League?
I'm going Machado. Gold Glover over there, hits for a ton of power, pretty solid average as well. Could probably be a shortstop and be on our list. And this is one of the positions that's not overly deep in the NL. I mean, you could argue Arenado, but I want to see it for a year outside of Coors Field.
Well, I am going to because he's the best defensive third baseman I've ever personally seen, and I love him. And I think he's going to keep hitting, and he has hit some for a very mediocre St. Louis Cardinals team. But Machado, hard to argue against it. Hard to. All right, to the outfield, the American League, which is really not – it's full of guys that have injury problems. Go ahead. Give me three.
So I actually broke this down by left, center, and right, and I still – with top three at everything, and I still only had two guys from the AL.
Judge and Trout.
So Judge would be number three. I put Buxton in there.
We have the same three. We're going to have the same six outfielders, guaranteed.
Buxton has been as good, if not better, than Trout this year, although I think Trout is the best player I've literally ever laid eyes on. If Buxton stays healthy, there you go.
Yeah. I have Trout, Buxton,
and Judge.
Trout, Buxton, and Judge, but it's health for Buxton and Judge, and the guy I put down as fourth, which is Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't really play outfield. He mostly just DHs because they want to be careful with him. But I think eventually his future as an outfielder with an absolute hose. All right, National League. I actually don't think you can debate it, but go ahead. Give me your three.
So to me, it's, well, in no particular order. You know what? Let's just do the order. Acuna, Betts, Soto. Those are the best three outfielders in baseball, in my opinion, outside of Mike Trout.
I was going to say,
and I don't even think it's close. And then after that, your next tier is Yelich and Bellinger.
Yeah, both of who are currently on the shelf.
Correct. Both of whom are MVP candidates every year, though. So it's
correct.
It's difficult to say. But I mean, Acuna has been the most exciting player in baseball.
Should we check and see if he's hit another home run?
Truly incredible. Soto, I have literally not watched this year, so I don't have a lot to say on Soto. And then Betts, it's hard to not like Mookie Betts. In fact, if you don't like Mookie Betts, just get the heck out of here.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
It's outrageous. The guy plays with more joy and happiness outside of Francisco Lindor than I've seen anywhere.
He's just a good guy.
Just makes me want to go play baseball. Love the guy.
I really do want to go play baseball. All right, yeah. Soto, Acuna, Betts, same thing. I had the same thing. And the great thing is you have two guys there that can play center field with the best of them. Betts and Acuna are, by the metrics, the two best right fielders by a long ways defensively. Both of them are plus center fielders, too. So not like we're struggling to find a center fielder on either of those teams because we have Buxton and Judge on the AL. All right, I asked you to do three pitchers in each league. So let's start with the American League. I have a feeling ours are going to be exactly the same. Can I guess yours?
Yeah, go for it.
Bieber.
Correct.
Cole.
Correct.
Tyler Glasnow. That's my third one.
I mean, yeah. Giolito was up there as well. But
yeah.
He has not actually been that amazing until last night this year. But yes. I mean, I've spoke about Glasnow every single podcast. So.
Yeah. All right. See if you can guess my National League ones.
All right. DeGrom.
You're not going to get him. I went a little bit. Yep. Never mind. I went way off the board with this third one.
Aaron Nola.
No.
Luis Castillo.
He's been terrible 2 out of 3 starts I have on my fantasy team.
Yu
Jack Flaherty.
Darvish.
Jack Flaherty is
Flaherty.
my third one. I really like
Okay.
him. Go ahead. Who's your 3? Oh, I listed Corbin Burns actually as my 4th. I have been so impressed by that guy. Anyhow, go ahead.
So again, I didn't do this correctly. So I did 3 starting pitchers in total, and I did DeGrom, Bieber, and Cole. But I mean, it's pretty clearly as far as my picks the entire year, I've got to put Bueller in there. I know you hate Trevor Bauer, but he has some of the nastiest stuff that I've ever seen. And you could argue that it's aided by sticky substances.
Yeah, well, everybody does that. That's fine.
I feel like everyone's doing that.
Problem is, you could argue Clayton Kershaw too on this list. We just argued for 3 guys on the same team.
I mean, Michael Pineda literally had a streak of black on his entire face that he just wiped like this on national television.
Yeah, he did.
Get away with it.
I love Michael Pineda. You just should have had a bottle of stuff out there, just shaking it.
Just like dump your hand in a lotion basket. I mean, yeah, I'm going Trevor Bauer just because I think he's filthy.
It's reasonable.
And I know you hate him personality-wise, but I love guys like that. So I gotta root for the chaos.
But he's a different kind of chaos. He's like nasty. I don't know. Not a big fan. But it's fine. He also said he would only sign 1-year contracts, and then the Dodgers were like, "Here, how would you like $120 million?" And he was like, "Sure, I'll take that." Great.
Don't blame him.
Well, no, I don't either. But anyhow. So those are our teams. I'm gonna give you Dad's own just major league team. Are you ready? First base, Freddie Freeman. Hard to argue about that. Second base, Jose Altuve. Ridiculous.
Ugh.
Yeah. Plus, we don't like him, Dad. Third base, Alex Bregman.
The Astros.
Yeah, the trash bangers. Whatever.
Come on, senor.
Okay, well, he doesn't watch a lot of baseball, so he does not. I had to tell him about the Astros scandal like 6 months after it happened. All right. Corey Seager is his shortstop. Again, fine, but I think we can find better. He has Yelich in left field. And then he says, but really Soto playing around. Okay, I couldn't read this very well. Center fielder, Trout, parentheses, best of all time, question mark. Willie Mays probably wants to talk about that for a while, but right field, Acuna. And then he has Realmuto as catcher, and then he just listed 2 total starting pitchers, Bieber and Kershaw, which, again, proving he hasn't watched a lot of Jacob deGrom lately.
So filthy.
I actually was going to suggest a bet to bet the Phillies tomorrow, plus 1.5. It's Zach Eflin for the Phillies from Oviedo, Florida, against deGrom. And the Mets just don't score when deGrom pitches. So I think Phillies 1.5 is a great bet tomorrow. Even though he's the best pitcher in baseball, probably. Maybe not even probably. He's like 32 years old. He's throwing 101 mile per hour. I don't even understand. I'm 34 years old. I can barely even lift my right arm right now. And that's not even.
It really is insane.
Doesn't have anything to do with this shot. It's just that I had a 1 arm surgery, and I was like, that's it. I'm done.
I hurt my back on the way to watch Scott ride dirt bikes the other weekend, just sitting in the truck. And there was an entire section of 60-plus people riding dirt bikes on this track.
Oh,
I don't understand it.
Welcome to your 30s, buddy.
I hurt sitting in a lawn chair.
You got any family fiasco for us this week?
So I have kind of a correction, and then I have a
chicken nugget story
this past summer. So the chicken nugget story, it turns out, which is what led to me hating TikTok, was a TikTok story that I took as my dog when my wife told me about it. And I'm not going to apologize because I hate TikTok.
Yeah, yes.
And it's definitely something Sullivan would have done anyways. So if you didn't actually know about the story beforehand, just take it as it was Sullivan. And I don't really care.
Yeah, whatever.
TikTok's the worst.
Yeah.
So my family fiasco is actually me failing this week. So as many of you know who know me, we in the last 8 months or so bought a house on the river here in Elkhart. Spent a lot of time on the river. That being said, I had not spent a lot of time driving a boat before we moved to this location. So we got a boat from her grandparents, and we've been talking about spending time on the water for a while at family gatherings because our friends have boats and we're always out there hanging out. And they assumed that I was a nautical expert when they drove this boat over to me. So her whole family is here, including cousins and everything. So we're like 9 deep. And they decide, hey, it's a great time. It's Sunday. Let's go ahead and take the boat out. This is the maiden voyage. We want to experience this. We're really excited about it. And I'm like, I'm not excited about this. I've never driven a boat, but I didn't tell anyone I've never driven a boat before. I didn't even know how to start the boat. And it's an older boat, so there's a lot to starting the boat and keeping the boat running. So I get it started finally. It took me like 5 minutes. Everyone's staring at me. We're on this little small fishing kayak, or it's not a kayak, it's a fishing pontoon boat. So you got the swivel seats in the front and everything, so you can sit out there and huck your stuff in the water, whatever you do. And we're driving up the river, and I don't know how high to put the motor up and down. I'm worried about that I'm going to hit logs and stuff. So I've got it up pretty high, which is clearly not what you want to do if you know anything about driving a boat.
I don't.
So it's pretty loud, and I'm very clearly overheating the engine, but I don't know this. So we're a ways up the river, and I don't have my phone. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the route. And all of a sudden the motor stops working and we're just sitting there dead in the water. And I can't get the prop to go up or down. We're very clearly too high at this point. And we end up having to get out and tow the boat over to the side. There's a little island in the middle. And I'm calling people. I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know what to do. I've got my entire family here. We're overloaded, blah, blah, blah. We finally get the boat started. One of my friends comes. He's at a pool about a mile away, comes, drives his boat out there. He gets it started. I look like an idiot. We're driving back, and I've got two people sitting in the front on the little swivel seats. You're not supposed to sit up there when you drive because it's not built to handle weight in the front. So we have a speedboat that goes right in front of us. I'm an idiot, and I drive directly into the wave. We go Titanicing into this wave. There is water. I'm sitting in the back of the boat, sitting as I'm driving there. There's water up to my lap. We've got phones floating in the boat. And my father-in-law is yelling, grab the life jackets. It's like everybody for themselves. We're all going to die in literally 4 feet of river water. And everything was fine. It's a pontoon boat. They just popped right back up. Moral of that story is I'm a complete moron, and I probably should not have taken my entire in-law family out on a boat when I never driven one before.
All right. Well, I'm going to join you then in the self-criticism. I'm going to give you the 2 stories of when I've made contact with other cars, actually other things with my car. All right. So we're going to ask Alex about a couple of his things when he comes on, whenever I can finally remember to text him and get him on. But so my first car accident, I was 16. I was leaving baseball practice, driving down Northridge Drive. So you come around and you turn left onto the straight one that goes out by Rulies. Those of you that live there know what I'm talking about. And I had one of those Discmen that you would plug the tape in, because I only had a tape dispenser in my 1995 Monte Carlo. And so it's going in, but it's skipping. So I pull up to the 4-way stop there. There's obviously no one there. It's Saturday morning baseball practice. Nothing else is going on. I turn left. And as I do, I'm trying to get this stupid Discman to work. So I turn and I did not correct enough. And so I look up and I am barreling right at a gigantic cement pole that's holding up a big light thing. And I did not have time. And I drilled the cement pole. There was not a car within, I don't know, like a mile probably. Totaled my car that I had just gotten a few months before. So that was number 1. Really a nice time. Coach Carson, thank you, drove me home. Mom was out mowing. I said, Mom, I got in an accident. I explained the accident to her. She did not take it very well. As she should have. Dad was much more understanding because he did a similar thing, but in a parking lot when he was our age, my age. Second one happened not too long ago. This was a few years ago. I was living on a little apartment attached to a really big, like, plantation style house down here in Florida. Our landlord, great people. This guy there are roads named after his family all over Oviedo. There's an elementary school named after his family. Like, they're well-to-do, right? But super nice guy. Anyhow, we lived on an apartment attached to their house. So the house is like over here and the apartment kind of slid off the end. And so we were able to park our cars like way off to the side. And then I would just back my car around into their driveway where their garage was. and leave. And I was teaching at the time, so I was leaving like 6 in the morning, and it was always dark. And there in Florida, there's just condensation all over everything. So we had just bought a brand new Toyota Corolla, 2014. By the way, the Indians are getting perfect game through 7 innings because they're terrible. And I'm really tired, as always. I got my coffee in hand, but I hadn't drank it yet. Micah has just been born, so we're like exhausted all the time. New parenting is a mess. So does this car have a backup camera in it? You may ask yourself. Yes, it does. Did I use it on this day? No, I did not. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm always just trying to gauge, like by feel, to back up into their turnaround. There's never anything there. It's no problem. So I'm like looking out the back of the window like I'm going to be able to see anything. I can't. Narrator. So I'm backing up and I get it, give it a little gas to get my car turned around, and I hear crunch. And I was like, I did not just hit their garage. So I'm like, what is happening? I know I didn't back up that far. So I look in the backup camera that I should have been looking in the whole time, and I see very clearly silver, just like right there. I was like, well, I didn't hit the house or the garage. And I get out. Turns out they had gotten a rental car that didn't have a garage door in it. And it's not like any rental car, because they had a really nice Lincoln. It's from the Lincoln dealership. It's one of those like $50,000 Starships don't need keys cars. And I have annihilated the side panel of this whole thing with the back of my car. Now, it didn't do much damage at all. If you came and saw our Corolla that we actually just traded in for a minivan, you would see that there's a little paint chipped on the back, but that's it. But I crushed. And I'm like, oh, we didn't have a lot of money at the time. And I was like, oh, my insurance is going to go up and I have to pay my deductible. And this is terrible. So I called my landlord. He laughed. He said, you just have to laugh about this kind of stuff. I was like, no, yeah, it's easy for you to say. I just pay thousands of dollars. Turns out it's a charmed life that I have, because it was a rental car and on their property. And it wasn't like an accident that happened with them driving the rental car. Their property insurance just covered the whole thing. I didn't have to pay anything. Didn't even have to call out an insurance adjuster or anything. So dodged a bullet. Those are my family fiascos.
Very nice.
Yeah, this podcast is getting long though, so you got to go. You got to go to bed. So, do you have anything to recommend to us, real quick?
Like 98% asleep here. So I'm going to recommend not TikTok. We're going to stick with the one TV show, one movie. This is probably my favorite sci-fi show of all time. It's a little older, but I would encourage you to give it a try. And there's
Firefly.
also a movie. Yes. Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres. It is a Western post-war sci-fi kind of Star Wars-ish mixed with The Mandalorian, but better than both of them. It's amazing.
That's high praise.
Highly, highly recommend it. It actually beats out Westworld for me for my favorite sci-fis of all time, if you want to call Westworld a sci-fi.
Probably.
Movie-wise, we're going to stick with the violence theme here. Westerns as well. Bone Tomahawk, if you can deal with a little bit of language and a lot of bit of violence, this is a fantastic movie. Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, they are rescuing, it would be, I think it's Patrick Wilson's wife from a group of Indians, and it is fantastic and goes completely off the rails. And if you enjoy dark Westerns, it's a great movie.
I'm trying to remember if I saw that or you just have told me to watch
it. I think I've recommended it to you 8,000 times.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it yet.
It's great.
Emily's not going to watch that movie with me.
No.
All right. I have 2 TV shows. You mentioning a Western made me think of a show that I feel like never got any publicity on Netflix. The show called Godless. It has Jeff Daniels. Ooh. It's a mini series. It's only like 6 episodes. I watched it when Kate was born, and I would stay up with her late so Emily could sleep, and then I would end up going to bed around midnight, because by then I was working at the church and I didn't have to get up early. And I cranked through that. I mean, there were times where I would happily stay up even later just to watch that show. It's awesome. It's got Jeff Daniels. It's got the lady that was in Downton Abbey. I don't know her name, but it's great. It is great. So I would highly recommend. And it's short. You don't have a huge time, because it's like watching 2 movies basically. And my other one. Okay, first of all, have you watched Ted Lasso yet? No, you haven't. Okay. There is a show that I thought I would hate. Emily, it's a documentary style thing.
But you watch Emily in Paris?
No. not things you hate from last week. Emily had been hearing kind of the same thing I had on Ringer podcast about how much they love the Formula One show on Netflix called F1 Drive to Survive. Now, listen, I think racing, I find racing to be incredibly unentertaining. Like NASCAR, you could never run another race, and I'd be like, great, the world is a better place. But I watched a couple episodes of this show, and now I think I'm a Formula One fan. Like, we're trying to catch up so we can watch Formula One races. It's that good. It's like super interesting. Whoever produces it is doing a phenomenal job. They have incredible access to the drivers and the teams and stuff. And the races are more interesting because they're not just on a circle. NASCAR is left, 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 left. Oh, there's a crash. Left, left, left. I'll put the caution flag out. Left, 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 left. Oh, great. It's awesome. Like, I would highly recommend it. There's 3 seasons on Netflix right now. I promise Netflix is not paying for this podcast. You want to know why? Because not a soul is paying for this podcast. But you should, like, seriously, anyone, it doesn't really matter if you're a sports fan. It's really interesting human wise just to watch it. There's a lot of drama just baked into it because of the nature of the sport. And it's also, the crashes are legitimately terrifying. I don't know how those people live through that stuff. And they're basically just in, like, I don't know. I don't understand. But watch it. It's so great. So great. All right. I think we're done. That's going to be close to an hour. Sorry, everyone. A lot of baseball.
We went an entire hour post Masters week without mentioning the Masters. So that
care
very
about the
much
Masters.
sums up our upbringing and the amount of cares
I think
that
it's
we have
really
about
cool
golf.
that a guy from Japan won the Masters, the first ever Japanese major winner. Seems like a cool guy. I saw a picture of him in the airport in Atlanta with the jacket draped on his seat behind him. He seems like a lot of people seem to love him. I also loved the guy that's like a giraffe, Zalatoris. Zalatoris. The guy's waist is smaller than mine, and that takes some serious doing.
The guy's arms are literal rubber bands.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should go. I thought about doing some thoughts about controversial things like post podcast, and then I decided that I like my job, so I'm just gonna leave that alone, and my relationship with certain people who wouldn't agree with what I have to say.
It's a wise choice.
Love you all. Thanks for listening. Oh, by the way, Matt Lafferty sent me another friend of the program sent me this ridiculous video of a guy making a shot in a sport I had never heard of called snooker. And maybe he can send me the link and we'll post it with this video, and we can post that Ravens link that I never sent out last week too.
Oh, you got to watch the Talking Ravens.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Ray Lewis, Lamar Jackson, they all do it. All right. Talk to you later.